Hey guys, welcome back. And today we'll try to understand more deeply into how we can handle try finally block. Yeah. So there are various ways, but there is a specific need for a finally block to be incorporated in your code. Now, the try finally block is used to ensure that certain code executes regardless of whether an exception is raised or not. You want that way, yeah. Unlike the try except block, which handles exceptions, now the try finally block focuses on cleanup operation. This you need to remember that uh, this will focus specifically on cleanup operation that must occur before once your code is run and you totally have a clean slate to work on your next code. So in Python, when using exception handling with try blocks, you have the option to include either except clauses to catch specific exceptions or a finally clause to ensure certain cleanup operations are executed, but not both together. Yeah. Sometimes it may, as we have seen in our previous example in our previous videos, but yes, in some cases you will require the try and accept as well as the finally block to be executed together. Yeah. So let's try and understand by way of an example how we can do that. So when I'm talking about reading files or opening files, you want the files to be closed before files to be closed before once you complete the operation. It's on the file so that the space can be saved towards space can be saved towards executing other code. So suppose I have this test file. Okay, I'll just have this test file and I'll have the right. We'll talk about file handling in our next module, but right now you just need to just think about this code. Yeah. So if I'll say hello world. Yeah, and I have finally I'll say file close. So let me have a print statement here as well. Print. I'll say file cannot be found or data cannot be read from the file. Yeah, and fl dot close. So what I'm trying to do is I am trying to write to a file. I will write hello world into it. And if since this will not execute, it will run into print file and it will close the file. If it exists, it will also close the file. So irrespective whether this code runs or not, it will close the file. So I have run this code. So this code usually will, what it will do is if you do not have a permission to open the file in writing mode. So here I have the test file. If I do not have the permission to open it in writing mode, then it will produce this error, which is file cannot be found or data cannot be. Yeah. Now this particular code can be written in a different way as well. Yeah. Which is more clean. So here, this print will be executed irrespective of error occurs or not. Yeah, error or exception occurs or not. Now this could be written more cleanly. Yeah. So let me show you that as well. Clean representation of above code. How we can do that is, suppose I have this try. I'll say fl equals to open test.file. I'll say I'll have another try. So I'll have a nested try. Let me have this code indented. And then I will have fl dot write. Yeah. So first it is trying to open a file. Yeah. If there is an error, then it will directly print an error. Let me write the full code first, and then probably you can understand what I'm trying to do. And try fl hello world. That's what I have to handle. So this is my test file for exception handling. Okay. And in Python. So I have the finally, and I will have this will close the file. Yeah. Yeah. And I will have here fl.close, and then I will run an exception. I'll say except, which is an IO error. If there is an IO error, I'm not, I do not need a alias for this. I'll say file cannot be found. I do not need a find here. So what I have done here, let me explain you the code here. So this is my first block of code, this entire. So this try, for this try, this is the entire block of code. Yeah. If this first part doesn't execute properly, it will directly jump to the IO error, and it will print the error saying that the file does not exist. If the file does exist, it will get into this file. Yeah. It will try to write to this file. Yeah. And it will close this file and it will come out. So when an exception is thrown in the try block, the execution immediately passes to the finally block. After all the statements in finally blocks are executed, the exception is raised again and is handled in the except statement, if present in the next higher layer of the try except statement. Yeah. So let me run this code. Yeah. This will close the file. So it has got into the file. It is opening a file test.write. Yeah. It is, since this particular command cannot be executed, it is directly getting in here finally, and it is closing the file. Yeah. So this is closing this file. So it is opening the file, writing something into it. If this does not exist, then it will get into finally. Yeah. Since it does not able to write into the, because this file does not exist at all. Okay. So this is a more cleaner code giving you a bifurcation where the error has occurred. Yeah. So it has directly jumped into finally, and this will close the file since this is available. You can also run exception as an argument. Let me show you that. So when you're talking about finally, I thought this should be one of the topic, uh, using exception with arguments. Yeah. So an exception can have an argument, which is the value that gives additional information about the problem. Now, the contents of the argument may vary by exceptions. So you usually capture an exception with a variable. Okay. So how it is written, let me show you a syntax, then we'll jump on a quick example to show you how it works. So here is the syntax. So you have this try block, yeah. Then you do all your operations. So this is kind of comment you can say. You do all your operational coding here, yeah. Then you have the except statement, yeah. So this could be exception type, any exception type, yeah. And then you give it as an argument where you specify your argument, yeah. Then here you can have your except argument code. So you can print value of argument here. Okay. So if you write a code to handle, so if you write a code to handle a single execute exception, you can have a variable uh, followed by the name of the exception in the except statement. So if you are trapping multiple exception, you can have a variable follow the tuple of the exception. So this variable receives the value of the exception. So this particular argument will receive the value of the exception. This value could be used. Now the variable can receive a single value or multiple values in the form of tuple. This tuple usually contains error strings, the number, yeah, and the error location. Yeah. So you need to remember that the argument that we get, this variable would usually have the error number, the error string, and the error location. Let me show you that how it occurs. So suppose I have this variable, temporary variable called var, okay? And let me write a try except statement in this, showing you return int of var, yeah? And then I'm writing an exception for a value error as argument. The argument value error as argument, and then we'll print the argument, yeah. Then we'll call this function. We will call the temp as abc or ice can analyze. So let's see the output. Here we can see the output, which is the argument which we have passed, and it is showing here. So this value error has occurred because we have asked to return in the form of int. This is not an integer. Hence, it has gone into an exception of value error as an argument. It is saying I scan and I is taking it as an argument. So it is replacing this value error as an argument, and it is showing that variable inside it. Okay. So this is how you can handle exceptions, and finally through the try finally block. I try to cover this topic a bit minutely because you need to understand how finally could we use in a more detailed manner while using file handling part, which we'll learn in the next module. But I guess this gives you a great idea of the exact application of try finally block, where we use it more of a cleanup operations. Yeah. Hope you like this video. Hope you like the example and the explanations. Do like it, share it across with your colleagues who want to learn Python. Uh, do comment if you have any views on the examples and the explanation. And do not forget to subscribe to my channel if you like to get such informative videos directly to your inbox. Thank you so much.